my wonderful readers. Welcome to the Beast and Beauty Global Virtual Launch Party. I can't be there with you in person this year for obvious reasons, so we decided to open it up and throw a big party online, and it's going to be filled with all kinds of awesome stuff today. I'm going to tell you some fun facts about the making of Beast and Beauty. You're going to meet some special guests from across the pond. You're going to get a sneak peek at my book for next year, and we're going to do an epic Q&A with all things Beast and Beauty, some questions about the School for Good and Evil and the movie and Evernever world and all that stuff. So it's going to be a chock-full virtual party for you guys. I want to thank Shelf Stuff for hosting us, and I also want to thank our partner bookstores, and those are Changing Hands, Books of Wonder, and Blue Willow. And you can purchase your copy of Beast and Beauty from one of those bookstores, and they're all in the event description. We also have something cool. We're doing a giveaway to our partner bookstores. You can win a $50 gift card to one of those 3 stores. All you have to do is enter the giveaway link in the description below, and it's going to be open all weekend. I know a ton of you are going to be watching this after the live stream because you're either in school right now or asleep if you're somewhere across the world. And you can still enter the giveaway through the weekend. So whenever you're watching this, whether it's live right now or later, all you have to do is go to the description and you can win a gift card to one of those bookstores. So thank you for joining us. We're going to start before our special guests come on, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Beast and Beauty and how it happened. This crazy little book, I have the amazing UK edition right here that you guys can get over there. And Beast and Beauty happened because I was supposed to take a vacation last year. I finished School for Good and Evil, the final book, One True King, on March 11th of last year. I remember Corona was spreading. Everyone was very nervous about it. I was nervous about it. And yet I had to go into my publisher to sign off on the final draft. And I remember going in, and the office was completely deserted. And it was just whatever we had to do to get this book to press, right? Because it was going to press on March 12th, I think. So we got it to press. It was like a ghost town in there. And then I took a flight to Miami because I was going to go see my family because I hadn't seen them in a while. And I go down to Miami, and then everything sort of exploded, right? And New York locked down, everything locked down. And I was stuck with my family down there. Not stuck with them, but I was trapped in a house with them for almost 5 months. And during those 5 months, I had planned to sort of go around the world and do all the trips I couldn't do while I was writing the School for Good and Evil because I was always so busy either touring or writing. And I started to think, well, what am I going to do with my time? What do I do? And writing is, at the end of the day, what I love to do and what I always go back to. And so I started just thinking about fairy tales again, because that's what I think about, right? That's really where my mind goes when I want to start thinking creatively. And I started thinking about how I wrote School for Good and Evil, about the school, and the school was based on these fairy tales, but I hadn't addressed the fairy tales themselves, these sort of iconic fairy tales. And I thought about, way back when the Grimm's brothers and Hans Christian Andersen and all these writers wrote down the tales, they only had a view to whatever the current society they lived in was, right? They didn't have a view to what the world would become. And these stories, no matter what, pop up in every culture, in every period of history, again and again and again. They're fundamental to our storytelling DNA. So they're meant to be rewritten. They're meant to be retold because they're just part of who we are, right? And I thought, well, why not just take my own crack at them, right? Why don't I go in and tell the stories the way I think they should be told, but set them in the 1800s, set them in the 1700s, as if they were written by the Brothers Grimm, only with a crystal ball to the future of what would matter. And so Beast and Beauty really are my fairy tales, my view of fairy tales. And I hope they encourage all of you who are writers to write your own versions, right? Because these fairy tales only matter as long as you guys keep rewriting them. So I'm going to tell you some fun facts about Beast and Beauty and each tale, the making of it. And hopefully, they stay with you as you read the book and explore the universe of Beast and Beauty a little more. So we'll start with Red Riding Hood. Red Riding Hood was the first story. And I didn't know it was a Red Riding Hood story when I was writing it. I thought I was writing a novel about wolves terrorizing a town, right? And that opening sentence about on the first day of spring, the wolves killed the prettiest girl. And I just thought about a town where they're so complacent and they go along with this sacrifice that just because the wolves say, every year you have to give us your prettiest girl, otherwise we kill you all. And the town is like, okay, right? And it just reminded me so much of kind of the world we live in, which is we'll turn a blind eye to something as long as we can sleep easier at night, even if it means somebody gets sacrificed in the process, right? So as I was writing it, and then originally the girl had a name, and her name was Genevieve. And the boy's name was named Arlo. And it was sort of turning into this interesting little dance between them. And then it struck me, I think, on the third day of writing, where I was like, oh, this is Red Riding Hood. And as I started working on that, I thought, oh, I wonder where this is going. And it ended. It became sort of a short tale. And I was like, okay, well, now I have a short story, my own version of Red Riding Hood. And I woke up the next day and started thinking about Sleeping Beauty. And I started working on Sleeping Beauty. And Sleeping Beauty was an interesting story because when I was done, I shared it with some of my family members. I shared it with my editor. And no one seemed to get it, but a couple people did. And it became one of these stories in the collection that either you got or you didn't get, which I love. You know, the idea that either it activates something in you or it doesn't. It reminds me a little of the Fox scene in The School for Good and Evil, where some people just totally like vibe with it and jive with it, and they get it, you know, because it hits something primal in them, or it doesn't, right? And Sleeping Beauty was one of those stories. Then came Snow White, and Snow White was written during the George Floyd protests in the U.S. When there was kind of a reckoning with racial trauma in the United States, and that was my vision for Snow White, this idea that a girl is the most beautiful girl in the kingdom, but she has no mirrors and no reflections to understand that or believe in that or accept it because she is the only black girl in her kingdom. And her mother names her that as an ironic jab at the complete whitewashing of the rest of the kingdom, right? And her journey is towards self-worth and self-value by discovering what the mirror already knows, which is that she is indeed, you know, has been beautiful all along. It's almost a archetypal Agatha story to some extent. Then came Jack and the Beanstalk, which really is about the difficulties boys have with their mothers. I think that one was written during lockdown when I was trapped in my house with my mom, my dad, for an extended period of time, and I feel like that story feels so personal. So yes, it really is about how you can never sort of grow out of having your parents around. And then Hansel and Gretel was sort of a tribute to my niece and nephew, who I spent a lot of lockdown with. I decided to make them Indian twins. And I used to read them the story all the time. And they kept giving me little additions and little changes that they thought would be more like them. So that almost felt like I was writing it with them. We were spinning it together. And then you have Beauty and the Beast, which I thought was really about my reaction to the Disney movie of Beauty and the Beast and how I wished that Belle hadn't so needed a husband in the end. And so you had May, who was Beauty in my story, really resisting the idea of wanting a man and really committing to wanting her books. So much so that in the end, that's what she gets, you know. Then came Bluebeard, which is the most intense thing I have ever written in my life. I was scared of that story. Even when I finished it, it took me to a very dark, strange place. And when I sent it to my editor, Tony, it was the one story in the collection she just didn't have notes on, and we were just like, okay, we're not touching it. I was like, are we publishing this? And she's like, yes, it's going in the collection. It was just, it was a dangerous tale. And I think the fact that we both knew it was a dangerous tale is what gave us the subtitle for the rest of the collection. And then from there, it was sort of a cleansing experience to write Cinderella, which was pure and utter fun and was meant to be kind of this Spanish romp through the ages. And we had, I had the best time writing that story because it just reminded me of all my favorite Spanish movies and all the fun I had writing them. And then after that, we went to Little Mermaid. And for those of you who've seen me on tour, you know I have a lot of problems with the Disney Little Mermaid. You know that I think that Ariel is the villain of that story, right? For many reasons. Ariel is disobedient to her family and friends. Ariel is shallow. She falls in love with the prince solely based on what he looks like. Ariel goes to Ursula, who is her father's worst enemy. So she is a traitor to her father and her kingdom. She signs a contract, and then she tries to go back on the contract. Ariel, to me, is the villain of that story, which is why in the original from Hans Christian Andersen, she dies. And so I wanted to have a pure dialogue, no description, conversation between Ariel and the Sea Witch for My Little Mermaid, in which they each try to convince each other that the other one is evil, right? And so that became sort of the starting point for that. And then the last two stories, Rumplestiltskin, I wanted to tell a story about the devil, because that's what Rumplestiltskin is about. It's about the darkness that, the depths that the devil will go to tempt you and to twist your mind and to take what you value most dear, right? And so Rumplestiltskin was a dark kind of acid story, and I wanted to see how kind of deep I could go into that sort of darkness of getting into the devil's skin, because he's kind of the main character. He's the voice of that story, right? So that took me to another dark place like Bluebeard. And then, of course, we come to the final story, which I'm sure some of you have read already and have some thoughts about. And that, of course, is Peter Pan. And Peter Pan has a bridge to the School for Good and Evil world, for those of you who have already read it. And I hope it has made you feel as emotional as it made me feel writing it. I loved writing that story more than any of the others, because it was just such a soaring romance. And it clued into the fact that when I was young and I read Peter Pan, I thought Peter was the villain of that story. I thought Peter was weird and creepy and arrogant and a tyrant and difficult. And I sort of was in love with all the young pirates. And I kept thinking, why doesn't Wendy just go hang out with the pirates? Because that's what I would do, right? And so that became my wish fulfillment to when I wrote Peter Pan. So that's how Beast and Beauty sort of came into existence. And it was sort of a labor of love. Each story went in the order. When you read the collection, the stories are in the order that I wrote them. And it's exactly like an album where every story was like a song. And together they form this kind of amazing, coherent, whole in my heart. And I just had a very sort of special, relationship to this book. And I hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did writing it. And it's going to be its own little universe in the Evernever world, which I'll talk about a little more in the Q&A, because you guys had a ton of questions about it. Obviously, the Beast and Beauty stories are different from School for Good and Evil. It's its own little world. And I hope you guys enjoy it. And, who knows, there may be a sequel down the road. And we're trying to do a film or TV adaptation of it as well. So it's going to have its own life as we go forward. This year has also been crazy because of the School for Good and Evil movie. And I know you guys are here to see some of these amazing special guests. So we're going to bring the first one on, and the most important guest I could possibly bring, because without the amazing Paul Feig, this movie would not be happening.
Without you, it wouldn't be happening, Soman.
Well, I don't know. I feel like between us, you actually might be more important.
No.
I just want to, first of all, thank you for bringing this movie into existence, because you've always been one of my favorite directors. And when I first got the call that you were going to do it, I actually thought I was having a psychic break.
Oh, thank you, my friend. I mean, it was when the project got sent to me, I fell in love with it immediately. I love, obviously all my movies are about, having great three-dimensional female roles in it. And just Sophie and Agatha, I fell in love with them immediately and couldn't wait to bring it to the screen, bring your vision to the screen and help it along and, try to wrangle it down into a movie size. And it's just been a blast.
I feel like this was a perfect time to bring you on, because there's so many School for Good and Evil fans who are going to be watching this and cluing in. So I think they just want to know, where are we in the process? What have you been up to since shooting ended?
I've been doing nothing but editing every day for 10 hours a day at least. We're in the editing room, and it's going great. Just it takes longer to edit a movie than it does to shoot it, just because there's so much. It's funny, you don't think about editing kind of, they just cut it together. But I mean, it's just comes down to the number of frames you use, how you're going to juxtapose the scenes, what is working, what needs a little help, and what you need to cut down, what's too long, where does it drag, where does it go too fast, and then on top of it, all the special effects, which we have just a mountain of special effects that are just going to be spectacular. Our goal is to make everything look very, very real. And so it's a thrill. We did a lot of stuff in camera too. We had great animatronic wolf guards and all that. And some of our fairies are very, very cool. So anyway, a lot going on, but it's not going to be till next year that the movie comes out because we got a lot to do.
Well, it's funny because the thing that shocked me the most when I came and visited was that I just feel like other directors would have done this whole movie on a green screen. You know what I mean? Like, they would have found the Marvel way of doing things. Do you know what I mean? Like, just everything's pixels. And I think what shocked me was that you built the school. Like, it was no, like, you built half the room. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
The whole school, I walked into the school.
They are our sets are enormous. Even I was like, oh my God, these sets are so big. But it's great, because I wanted, look, this is a big story that you've created here, and you want to tell it big. I didn't want it to be small. And, and it was interesting shooting during COVID because, that limits some of the things you can do, although not totally. It just means I have to wear a mask the whole time, which is interesting to direct with a mask on. You get very good at talking with your eyes and conveying what you need from people.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw your face when I was on set. I don't think it ever happened.
How did you miss out on this? I mean, Soman, I'm so sorry you didn't get this every day.
Oh, my God.
I think I'm better off with a mask, I'll tell you.
I was going to ask you, I was curious because you did a lot of work on the script because you're obviously one of the greatest writers in Hollywood. And so you spent a lot of time as a writer in the School for an Evil World, and then now you're editing it. Are they similar skills or are they different? Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, it's funny, once you direct things that you write, you don't face it differently, but you almost write like you're in the editing room. Because you start to go, okay, I know this is something I'm not going to need, and sometimes, the studio or other producers kind of want something explained in the script and say, okay, we'll put it in dialogue. But I'm always like, okay, but I know we're not going to need it because once you see two people look at each other and that emotion, you just feel it. So you go, now we don't have to say it, but you have it just in case you show an audience at a test screening and they're like, we don't understand this. You go, okay, well, we can explain it with that line. Yeah. But but it's I love it. I really love being able to work on as a writer the things that I direct.
And then my last question for you is because I know you have to get to sleep because you're over there far away. And I'm going to be out in London, as you know, in a couple of weeks. So hopefully I'll be able to see you. Which is so all the fans are like, here, what can they most look forward to, do you think?
The performances. We have such an amazing cast. And, the two Sophias are just unbelievable. And then Charlize Theron and Kerry Washington and Lawrence Fishburne, Michelle Yeoh. I mean, an actor named Mark Heap, who plays Professor Manley, who is so good and so funny and so scary. I just love this cast across the board and down to, our Beatrix, everybody, it was a great group. And look, I'm always very lucky because I really make sure I hire people that I know are not only talented but nice and get along. And they all, because of COVID, had to live together in this hotel. They were like a family. I mean, they've just created friendships that will last a lifetime. And wait till you see the witches. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's funny because as an author, you always have things in your head of like who characters are, and like I cannot think of these characters as anything other than who you guys cast in the movie because they're just so smart and sharp. And I just feel especially the two Sophias are going to sort of take the world by storm because their friendship is so, amazing. Yeah. So
it really.
Thank you so much for joining us. And they have so much to look forward to. And I'm sure I'll be seeing you very soon.
Definitely. And Soman, congrats on the new book. I'm halfway through it and it is fantastic. It is so
Thank you.
Smart and just representative, and I mean it's really a masterpiece. So congratulations.
I really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you soon on the other side. So
there you go. That's what it's going to be. All right, thanks, Soman. Thanks everybody. Thanks all the SGE fans. We can't wait for you to see the movie. See ya.
Well, on that note, so you heard the amazing Paul talk about the fact that all the cast sort of lived in this hotel together. And two of them who I've become especially close to and text all the time are here to join us for the next part of our little special guest moment. So, three, because we have a surprise guest. This is unexpected because we didn't think he'd be here. Let's bring them on. We have Kit Young from set. Oh my God.
Hello.
You are here.
I am here. I'm sorry, I'm still on the street. I basically just left set. So,
well, let's talk to you first. And then we have Briony Scarlett, who we're going to introduce in a second. And we have the incredible Sophia Anne Caruso here as well. But Kit, let's talk to you really first before you have to go, because you're in the middle of the street.
I have to get in my car.
Okay.
As you can hear, there's London traffic.
Listen, this was enough to make everybody happy because you know how much they love you and they are obsessed with you. And this will become a meme somewhere of you trying to get into your car on the street. But we love you, and we just want to tell you how amazing you are in the movie. And everybody cannot wait to see you play Rafal.
Well, I'm glad, because I'm glad for people to see it. And it's been a joy to kind of dive into your world and to play this character. It's been awesome. And it's kind of strange that we wrapped up, a few months ago now? Because it was such a kind of, it was our life for 3.5 months in Belfast, all of us kind of locked up together. And so, yeah, I mean, it was amazing to kind of dive into this new world that was being created through you by Paul for, the Netflix viewers. And so that's a kind of really, really exciting thing to be a part of, and to do it all in Belfast during COVID was very bizarre, but magical, and that's what we want. So yeah, I mean, it's really an honor. So thank you for welcoming us into your world.
Well, thank you, Kit. You are the best. Thanks for doing this, and get in your car, and we'll see you. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Okay.
Love to all of you. Hello, 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 and goodbye.
Okay. That was sort of representative of Kit, right? Kit sort of ducks in, is like, throws the party, and then runs away, right? That is Kit.
That would be
Kit in a nutshell. Okay, let me introduce you to you guys formally, because Briony, you haven't been formally announced. So this is your official coming out party to the School for Good Evil fans. You are the amazing Rena, and of course you come dressed to the nines, looking gorgeous like always.
Thank you.
So excited to, what was it like playing Rena?
So much fun. Like, I don't even know where to begin without accidentally doing an hour-long podcast. It was just, this is the cliche word, but magical. It was so much fun, getting to be involved with costume and makeup and trying to decide, from doing my research from the books and trying to pull things out for myself and for, SGE fans to kind of respect what you've written in the world and Rena. So yeah, getting to be part of that process of building her up and then having her and being her on set, and then all the other characters and how we work as people, but then like in our characters as well, was just so much fun.
And you were all staying at the same hotel together. I know this because I saw you in the incredible, incomparable Sophia Anne Caruso is here, who I feel like you and I share a frequency.
Yeah.
It's very odd, but we just do.
You are Sophie, as you say all the time. You're Sophie, and I played Sophie, and we hang out all the time in New York.
The funny stories I have about our frequency are that, when I first met you in that hotel room, and Kit was there too, I think, and I was just like, I'm super hungry. There's no food in this hotel because the hotel often did not have any food, and and you were like, well, what would you want? Like, what do you want right now? And I'm like, salmon and broccoli. And you literally turn to me and go, I have salmon and broccoli right here in the fridge. It's a meal I am not eating. And then when we were in New York, one day I had 2 hours free in Midtown. And I'm like, what am I going to do with these 2 hours? Boom, you call and you're like, I'm in Midtown, a block away from you. Would you like that? Like, it's almost like we're on this weird, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And And sitting down in the hotel room was the first time that you and I really got to hang out. But the first time that we ever met was many years ago, in fact.
Yes. When you played, this is a funny story. We wanted to cast you as Agatha in the big book 4 kind of like countdown trailers and everything because you would have been perfect. But you had blonde hair. And I was on such a low budget that I'm like, what am I going to do? Put her in a black wig from Party City? Do you know what I mean? Like, we were just like, it's fine. She can play Beatrix. But like, my God, what a mistake. We should have had you play Sophia Anne back then.
Yeah. I had a great time though. It was super brief, and I just kind of got a call from my agent, and they were like, "Can you go do this thing today?" And I was like, "Okay." I'm a block away.
But it was almost faded. Yeah, it was almost faded. That gave you the sort of like first look at the book, and then when Paul came calling you, it was almost like it was meant to be. You gave the world's most epic performance to Sophie. Brian, you can certainly attest to that. Everyone's gonna like fall out of their apartment when they watch on Netflix because it is. Sophie is like my spirit come to life, and I felt she was uncastable in a lot of ways. And there's no one who can play Sophie like you. You know what I mean? So we're all really excited. So I just want to ask you a few sort of fairy tale themed questions because we're here for Beast and Beauty. So the first question I want to ask you guys is, which character in Beast and Beauty in one of the fairy tales would you most like to play? So Briony, which one would you most like to play?
I'm going to pass this to Sophia because her hand went up so quick.
Tell me.
Kill the vibe.
I know the answer immediately, and that would be Little Red. I need to play Little Red. I would really like that.
I feel like we are going to somehow make that happen. Because who else? Honestly, after all of you who are watching this read Red Riding Hood, like there's no complaint. But then here's the problem. I think that way. I think, oh, no one can do this except Sophia Anne. But then I think about the fact that no one but anyone could play any part but Sophia Anne. You could play Bluebeard. Come on, okay. Let's be honest. If I said you're playing Bluebeard, don't you think you could play Bluebeard?
I accept the challenge. I think
you could. I think you could play Rumplestiltskin. I think you could play the pirate in Peter Pan. I think
I could be a solid pirate.
I think you could do all. I think that's the thing. It's almost like who do you know? Yeah. Briony, how about you? Who would you play?
Okay. I found 2 days ago a video of me when I'm 4 years old getting a Snow White costume. And I'm like, oh my God, I've wanted this my entire life. And you hear my dad in the video go like, she's only like 4. That isn't very long. But for me, like getting a Snow White costume is everything. So Snow White.
Oh, I think you
Rapunzel as well. You know?
Again, I think you could play every single princess in that collection. And the other question is, knowing your character so well as you do now, so you, Rena and Sophie, if Rena and Sophie were trapped with the Hansel and Gretel witch, what would you guys do? So, Briony, what would Rena do if she was trapped with?
Okay, if I was trapped, I've thought this through. Okay, so I would take a candy cane. As soon as I get captured, I sneak it in. And the whole time I'm captured, I'm sharpening it, ready to unpick the chains. And that's how I get free. I whistle, my wolves come.
See, where I thought you were going with this is the main difference between the Evers and Nevers is when you said that you were sharp.
You thought I was going to stab her?
I thought you were going to stab her. And I was like, that's pretty solid, actually. That's a pretty solid move. And what I was going to say is I think that Sophie would it depends on which state Sophie's in,
right?
And what part of the movie we're discussing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that I would probably throw Rena towards the witch and run for my life and be like, sorry. And then afterwards I would feel really bad about it. And then I would like come back to the witch and be like, eat me too. I feel really terrible about myself. Like I shouldn't have done this. And
I don't think you'd go through with that. You would let the witch eat you.
Yeah, but the thing about Sophie is that she's like evil, right? She's to do some terrible things, but she's also pretty human in there. So I think she'll come back and be like, "Damn, I messed up."
I feel like you and I have trouble with the human part. We can do that. We can do this. We can do all parts of Sophie except the human part.
You're gonna have to muster it up, I think.
What if I had a vegan treat with me? Would you save me then?
I don't know. I think if you trapped everybody in the Culloden Hotel for long enough.
Yeah, if you trap us on the Culloden Hotel for long enough, we will get hungry enough to eat.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And my last question for you guys before we let you guys go. I know Sophia Anne has to go to a wedding today, and Briony, it's late there. I know. Is what can people most look forward to in the movie?
Briony, go ahead.
Me? I think Paul's kind of stolen this answer, but it is everyone. It's everyone together. It is the fact that by bringing us all together, you have made this world, and everyone will get to come in and see it and feel part of it. Like, it felt so real. That's why massive sets were built. So it felt real for us, and it'll be real for the audience. So for me, like, nothing can make that not amazing.
I keep joking that we're gonna just have to take all of you and put you in the Beast and Beauty adaptation so that we can all get trapped in a hotel again. We'll just be a little repertory company that goes from
Honestly, this is pretty fun. I miss the cast a lot. I never thought I'd well, maybe not never, but for a while there at the Culloden Hotel, I was like, okay, like I'm ready to sleep in my own bed again. But now that I'm sleeping in my own bed again, I'm like, well, I miss my friends.
There's always the sequel, so don't be careful what you wish for. You might end up back at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the thing that people can most look forward to is obviously the answer that the two of them gave, but also I think I was so in awe and excited about the costumes and everything that was visual. I'm very visual, and so is Paul, and I think that just like the visuals, like the design of the whole thing is going to be so aesthetically pleasing to watch, and the costumes are insane. I mean, I'll speak for myself, and I think Sophie would admit it. My costumes are great.
I think
Insane.
Such a stylist and really the most stylish human in the world. And so,
Yeah.
even this big a canvas, you end up with like something like unbelievably different and cool. And yeah, I think it's gonna just sort of shake the world a bit, as will you too.
I've never played a character that was so well dressed. Yeah, I think the thing that you should watch out for would be the witches.
Agreed.
And my witch.
They got a tiny little sliver, like, of a few frames, and I think in those few frames, they already saw how scary they can be. So, especially Freya.
Oh yeah, Freya's terrifying. She's terrifying. But yeah, watch out for the witches, including.
Well, this little coven will hopefully reunite at some point soon. I love you guys. And Briony, I'll see you in like 10 days in London. And Sophia, I'll see you the next time our frequency vibrates together, because it just happens all the time. So,
Yeah.
Enjoy your wedding tonight. Thank you guys for showing up.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. We are here with the next part of our, I told you this party's packed. We are here with the next part of our show, and it is a game to guess what my next book is going to be in 2022, because I am striking distance of finishing it. I am about 10 days from finishing my next book, which will be out next year. And I had to figure out who should come on to help guess what the book is going to be, and who better than our two OG School for Good and Evil fans, my most trusted go-tos in the School for Good and Evil world are original movie ambassadors. They tend to know everything about the movie before anyone else. If you ever need movie information, always trust these two over anyone else because they have the correct information, and anything else online cannot be trusted. So I want you to introduce to the amazing OGs, and that is Snail Jam, Jamie Trope, and Ellie. I want you to introduce to the amazing OGs. Hold on one second. They are coming back. We had a moment. Here we go. Back to the amazing OGs. Okay. Hold on one second. They are coming back. We had a who's one of them? Someone's up there. The amazing OGs. They are coming back. Gotcha. One of you is playing the YouTube stream, so I would close it because it's a little bit black. Okay, we're good. Perfect.
Okay.
So, welcome, guys. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Ellie, everyone knows you because you run my TikTok and are doing the best job ever. I just show up and film what you tell me to film, and
you do it wonderfully. So it's a team effort.
And very soon you will be in possession of all my phone stuff from the movie, so you'll be able to see everything I shot from the movie on my phone, and you'll be able to do all the TikTok stuff. Jamie, you have been an OG fan since 2013?
Yeah, it's been a while.
You're in college now. I remember when you were barely high enough to get to school.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm live from my college dorm, so.
Oh my God. Okay, well, welcome, guys. We're gonna play a little trivia game about Beast and Beauty, where you guys are gonna answer some questions, and for every question that you get right, I'm gonna give you a key word about my 2022 book. And if you guys do really well, I'll give you a little sliver of the cover.
Ooh.
Okay, so June is going to pull up the first question. What is it's not a team effort, so each of you gets one question. So Ellie, you're going to go first with what is the fourth story in Beast and Beauty?
Rapunzel.
Oh my God, you are correct. So your key word for my next book is construction.
All right.
Construction is one of your clues. Okay. Jamie, you're up with number 2. Which of these characters are not in Beast and Beauty? Matilda, Magdalena, Marlena, or Pietro?
Okay. I know that Magdalena's in it. The M's are throwing me off here. I'm Marlena?
Yes, you got it. Nice work. The second keyword, the second clue is fraternity. I didn't come up with these keywords, so I'm looking at that word and being like, what is happening? June's sitting right here, poor guy. June runs everything. I'm like, fraternity.
I said them too.
June's like, I said that too. Okay, third. That one's a little, I don't know if that's going to help you. But okay, third one. Let's see. What is the name of Jack's cow in Jack and the Beanstalk? Ellie, this is for you. Milky Gold, Kerrygold, Milky White, or Beefy Blue?
Milky White.
Milky White. Third word is usurper. The clue is usurper. So construction, fraternity, usurper. Okay.
Bob Felder takes over the fraternity house.
That'd actually be kind of.
I'm so excited for this.
That'd actually be a great movie. All right. Next word. Next trivia question for Jamie. Which story in Beast and Beauty does not feature a flower? This is so hard. A flower in its title art. This is impossible. Beauty and the Beast, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, or Peter Pan?
Okay, I'm gonna say Peter Pan.
I think that's wrong. I think it's Snow White. Yeah, but I'll give it to you anyway because I don't know. That was an abusive question. Okay, prophecy is the clue. Construction, fraternity, usurper, prophecy. Question number 5 for Ellie. How many siblings does May have in Beauty and the Beast?
Ooh, she's got 3 older brothers and 2 sisters, so 5 siblings?
Oh my God. I would have totally missed that one. I would have totally missed that one. I was like, two sisters. This is such an easy question. I forgot about the brothers. Oh my god. You should get extra clues for that one. Ship is the next word. Construction, fraternity, usurper, prophecy, ship. And the last question for Jamie. What is the color of the dress Cinderella inherits from her mother?
Oh my goodness.
And if you don't know this one, you can ask Ellie for help.
Ellie?
I think, was it silver?
What's the answer? Silver!
You did.
And the last clue, and this is the biggest clue of all, though it'll make no sense to you at the time, is the word Vulcan. Vulcan. Construction, fraternity, usurper, prophecy, ship, Vulcan. And because you guys got 6 out of 6, we're going to give you the most annoying, irritating, but it's still a clue of the cover. So let's take the smallest little peek at the cover.
So it features the character with blue eyes. This is information to know. Okay.
That's all. You get. Okay. So now you guys get to before we go, you can take your crack at what you think the book is.
Prophecy stood out and ship. So I'm gonna go. You're sticking with retellings, but going Greek mythology retellings. Ulrich Riordan. That's mine.
Fascinating. Okay, and Jamie, what do you say it is?
Okay, I would love to read that, first of all. Second of all, like, I'm picking up on fantasy, but at the same time kind of modern, so maybe there's like a portal in the fraternity house fantasy world.
Jude's like he's like trying to make that fraternity work.
Yeah, I'm really trying.
You funny. You guys are the best. I love you guys, and you guys are our OG movie ambassadors. We have so much for you guys to do on the movie front in terms of merch focus groups and all kinds of fun stuff coming up. And you guys will be joined by other future School for Good Evil fans in our little movie ambassador club. So we look forward to everything that's going to happen as we get closer to the School for Good Evil movie next year. But thank you so much for joining us for this Peace and Beauty little trivia challenge. And I'll see you online.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Somehow we are running on schedule, which seems impossible because we've been doing so much in this little virtual launch party. But we're going to end with this epic Q&A where I answer all the questions that you guys have been sending, or as many as I can, on social, on the website, and YouTube. And yeah, so let's get to some of these questions, and I'll answer everything that I can. Which story was the hardest to write in Beast and Beauty? Bluebeard, I think, because it's dark. It's dark. It has sort of a ray of hope underneath it. I think the fox in that story, when you guys read it, the fox in the story was kind of my soul animal. And it just goes to a very deep, kind of intense place. And so it was very difficult for me to write, which is why Cinderella had to be so fun and silly right after. So, yeah, I think Bluebeard was the one that almost killed me. What's next? Do you think that Beast and Beauty could become a TV series? I hope so. That is my goal for it. We are in the process of putting everything we need together to potentially make that happen in the future. So let's see. I think it would be killer. I think you could have like 6 or 8 episodes of the most visual stories, right? And yeah, we'll cast Sophia Anne Caruso and Briony Scarlett and Kit Young in every part. And Sophia Anne can play Bluebeard. All right, what's next? What's your favorite part about being on the SGE set? Watching Paul at work, I think, because I'm such a huge fan of him, and to see how much energy and creativity and intelligence he has on the fly. He has to make decisions so quickly. As a writer, I can make decisions and fix them the next day. As a director, you have to be so sharp and on it at all times because the decision you make in the moment is the decision that's going to be on screen. So I think that was my favorite part about being on the School for Evil set, interacting with the cast, being their kind of camp counselor for the time I was there. It felt like one big, awesome family, but definitely watching Paul work. Is a world without princes being made into a movie? That depends on whether you guys watch the School for Evil movie. Obviously, the movie has to do well, and that will rely on you guys being the groundswell army to making it happen. So, we're in the process of making sure that it is set up in the case that if the movie does well, we get to have a sequel. But everything relies on you guys. If you want to see Evelyn Slater, if you want to see Philip, if you want to have that adventure into, the school for boys and girls and go further into the school years, you got to get all your friends and your family and their family to watch it. So yeah, get your school hyped. Now's the time. Get them hooked on The School for Good and Evil. So next year, when the movie comes, you're ready. So what's next? School years or Camelot years? Oh, this is such a tough one. Camelot years, is, I guess, better reviewed, in terms of if you just look at the sort of objective reviews and what readers tend to say. I think the school years appeal to you if you loved Harry Potter and you loved being in a school environment and you loved having that kind of like magical feeling of entering a school and being part of something unique and it spoke to you at the school that you would like to be in. And I think Camelot Year speaks to you if you're into Arthurian legend and you're into kind of Game of Thrones-ish complexity and you love a lot of characters and you love intricacy and murder mysteries and twists and family, trees that are finished and all that sort of intrigue, So I think it just depends on which appeals to you. For me, each book as I wrote, I felt like I got stronger as a writer. So Camelot Years to me is where I felt maybe the most fulfilled as a writer. And I think some of those books are exactly down to the letter of what I wanted. But then Last Ever After is hard to beat. So, that doesn't answer the question, but whatever. Okay, next. Favorite tale in Beast and Beauty. It's hard because each one served a different purpose for me. Peter Pan, I think, made me cry writing it for sure. And Cinderella made me laugh, I think, the most. I just, anytime my friends would come over, I'm like, I have to read you the beginning of this story. And they would be like, this is going in a kid's book? And anyway, that's what all my friends say when I read them anything. This is the kid's book? I'm like, yeah, welcome to this is why people read the books, because they don't feel like kids' books. All right, next. Which fairy tale shocked you the most when you first read the original compared to Disney? Sleeping Beauty. All of us think Sleeping Beauty is like the Disney version, but it is so different and violently different that it's shocking. It really sort of kicks off. It really sort of gets its legs when Beauty wakes up and she's pregnant and she doesn't know how it happened. So it's a totally different story. It's about the horrors of, when life takes a twist and you don't know where that twist kind of came from, and you're trying to solve the mystery of it and at the same time stay alive. It's a really dark, quite deep story, and that's kind of where my Sleeping Beauty came from. So what is next? Could there be a sequel to Beast and Beauty? I would love it, maybe sometime in the future. I have some other books, obviously, I want to do first, but yeah, if you guys love these fairy tales, it might be fun to do 12 more. And this time I can do some ones that you guys don't know as much, so it'll feel like I invented them. So yeah, all right, what's next? Will you make a cameo in the SGE movie? Does anyone ever really want to see an author cameo? But I don't know. We'll see. Okay, what's next? When will you get a first poster or teaser for the movie? Sometime next year. Paul is editing, so all that stuff will be next year. So, yep. If you could pick one more story to add to Beast and Beauty, which fairy tale would it be? I feel like so much could be done with the Frog Prince, right? And not just because of Hort. I just feel like I could do a lot with it. Frog Prince maybe would have been. That would have been the next one I would have done. Can you tell us about the costumes? What do you think of them? You just heard from Sophia Anne and Briony. The costumes were incredible. I mean, just spectacular. Renee Kalfas was the designer. And Paul, of course, is king of costumes. So he and Renee, really worked together to put together what I think is Oscar-winning fashion. And it should get an Oscar for the costumes because of just the level and the detail, the creativity and the imagination. In the books, there's uniforms, and in movies, uniforms don't work so well because it's boring. So you'll see a lot more creativity there. Can you tell us a funny story about meeting one of the actors? Oh my God. I have so many. And I'm trying to think of which ones I can tell. Okay, so I met everybody except Earl. Earl was the last. And I couldn't find Earl. And I'm like, where's Earl? Where's Earl? And just nowhere to be found. And I think on the second day, I went down out of the hotel and a van pulled up right in front. And this van door opens. And there's Earl Cave in all his glory, looking like a pirate. And I was like, Earl, my love. And we hugged, and it was like love at first sight. So that's how I met Earl. He was the last one, of course, because you guys know how much I love Port. And it was fitting that we had this kind of amazing moment. So what is next? You said you might write a new adult trilogy for SGE. Were you joking? Okay, so here's what happened. In 2011, when I started writing The School for Good and Evil, and I talked to my publisher about it, I was like, they were like, how many books are you imagining? And I was like, 9. And I remember the look they gave me, like, I was like, it's divided into 3 trilogies. There's the school years, then there's the Camelot years, and then there is a 3rd trilogy about the new class, and it's an adult series because we're going to watch the main characters grow up, and it's actually quite adult. And they were like, let's focus on the first book. So that was how I always thought of it, right? And so I got to do trilogies 1, and then to do trilogy 2 was such an honor because it meant that you guys wanted more after the first 3. It was always conceived as 9, really. And then that 3rd trilogy, I always said, I put on ice and said, if the movies do well and School for Good and Evil becomes, sort of this bigger thing in culture, then maybe I would go back and do those adult books. But there's a lot I want to do in the meantime and things like that. But it was all part of the plan. I have the story. I've always had the story because these books were sort of conceived in a big, large structure, which is why when you read 1 through 6, they make such a coherent whole together because they were planned that way. So, all right, last couple questions. Do you plan your books or do you improvise as you go? They're super planned in terms of the beginning and the endings. I know, I know 7, 8, 9. I know what those books will look like. They are more experienced in the flow as I write them in terms of the ins and outs and the little twists along the way and all the details, But those sort of big moments and how a book begins and the main twist in the middle and the end, those are always sort of built in. I don't sit there and sort of outline and all that stuff, but it's all kind of conceived from the start. What's a scene that didn't make it into the SGE movie? The foxes. Much to my, disappointment, because you know how much I love the fox scene, but it would have been super creepy in the movie to see Sophia and Tetris turn into foxes. It would have been like Cats. We would have had School for Good and Evil, like that crazy Cats movie. But yeah, I do love that scene. And if you love that scene, then you and I vibe. The next time you see me on the street, you can fist bump me and be like, foxes, and I'll know that you're on my wavelength. Same goes for Sleeping Beauty in Beast and Beauty. If Sleeping Beauty is one of your favorite stories and you get it, when you see me, be like Sleeping Beauty, and I'll be like, you're in my pack. All right, last question. What was your college comfort activity? Such a funny question. Ping pong. I used to play ping pong at least an hour and a half a day. I got super good at it. Ping pong was my thing. I used to bet all kinds of things against my friends at ping pong because I was such a hustler that I knew I could beat everybody. It's how I am in tennis, like right now. Like anytime anyone's like, oh, let's play tennis, I'm like, well, okay, why don't we bet something on our game? Because I know I'll beat them. I'm such a Sophie. I always will be. But thank you guys for joining us. This has been the most fun launch party ever. Even though I can't see or hear from any of you, I'm sure I'll hear plenty, in your reactions and comments. So let me know if you guys had fun, and I hope we get to do this again soon. So thank you guys very much. You guys are the best. I write for you and because of you. And I hope you'll keep coming along with me to the many universes as Evernever world unfolds and expands and gets deeper and richer. on new adventures. So with that, I'll say goodbye and see you in Evernever world.